I needed a large coffee today, 7 Brew. If you have one near you, I highly recommend checking them out. They're my favorite, but I needed it this morning. We are on the home stretch, everyone. We are on the home stretch. 3 days left. I did not vlog yesterday. I didn't even pick up a camera. It wouldn't have been that interesting anyway because I was at my computer either in meetings or working on the HB90 planners in InDesign all day yesterday till about 10 p.m. It was very busy. And I think coming back from travel, where even though I was with family and I took a break, there were a lot of other kind of stressful things happening behind the scenes with the family. We have parents that are growing more elderly and other things that are happening there. And of course, like trying to make sure that everything's perfect for the holiday and the kids and the travel, just travel in and of itself can be stressful. And I came home and needed to jump straight back on it. And I really should have taken more of a break when I got home. And so I can feel it like in my face that the stress is causing like inflammation in my fingers. My fellow PCOS sufferers, you will know what I'm talking about. Just that like water retention and inflammation and just sort of generally feeling like you're sleep deprived, even if you've gotten sleep. That's where I am this morning. So I didn't record a vlog yesterday, so I'm going to record a vlog today because I am going to get some writing done. But I'm just going to sit down with you, have a little coffee chat today. I know there's been a lot of those this NaNoWRIMO, but I think it's been fun to get a chance to just sit down and chat and be real with each other. So I hope that you've enjoyed those too. Today, what I want to talk about is really 2024, what is on my mind in terms of my writing specifically. I was talking about goals the other day, but in terms of my writing and some of the things that I would really recommend that you think about. And also, I wanted to talk about like if you're sitting here right now and you're thinking that you still have work to go and you're trying to decide, do I try to win Nano by the 30th or do I just let it go? We're going to talk about that a little bit too, because that has been on my mind as well. So let's talk about that first. So I'm recording this on the morning of the 28th. You will see this on the 28th. And then I will also record a vlog today. So you'll see this shirt twice. I actually bought this little sweatshirt. It does have like a little pocket here in the front. And it matches Evie's. I got this from Sparkle and Pink. They have a lot of like mommy and me stuff. So today was free dress day at school. They didn't have to wear their uniform. So she and I dressed alike together. And I tried to get pictures, but she just was not having it. So we don't have any pictures yet. Maybe she'll come on camera with me this afternoon. But my heart is already starting to get into the holiday spirit. I am ready to just clean my house top to bottom, put up the Christmas tree. I've already got the fuzzy socks going. I am ready to just get into the holiday spirit and into the planning spirit. I am high futuristic. I've talked about this before. If you're familiar with the Clifton and Gallup strengths that Becca Syme talks about a lot, and a lot of writers are kind of familiar with this language now because of her. My number one strength is futuristic, and that is not just a strength, it's a need in my soul. And I have been, for the last several months, and really a lot of this year, between re-recording Publish and Thrive, trying to get back to the joy of writing, and as busy as I've been over the past 45 days or so, I've been very much kind of by necessity in the present. Like every day there's all these things that need to get done that are on a time schedule, and it has been more stressful than I want it to be. So as I'm thinking about 2024, I'm going to make some changes, and I'm so excited for them that I'm so ready because this is my favorite time of year to be planning. I am so ready to just sit down surrounded by my planning stuff, a big poster board, my planners, my, Google Doc that has all of my calendar for next year. I'm ready to start daydreaming about what am I going to write tomorrow? What am I going to build? Well, not tomorrow. What am I going to write next year? What am I going to build next year? I want to start a membership. We've talked about these things lately. There's a lot of things like I'm excited for the future, and my brain just naturally wants to like start daydreaming about that future for next year and maybe the next 5 years. And I haven't had the time to do that because it's like, oh, this planner's due, this book is due, this is due, this is due. And I'm ready for something different. But I'm also sitting here with 3 days remaining before a deadline to get a project in and to win NaNoWRIMO. I still have 6,000 words that I need. Maybe you're sitting here and you have 2,000 or 3,000. Maybe you still have 15,000. Maybe you just wrote 5,000 this month and gave up, which is also fine. I was reading through some of your comments on the vlog that I did the other day, and I know that you were like, some of you were like, I gave up, I quit, it was too hard, I made it to 5K, you know, whatever. And that, it's totally fine. It's just a challenge. You know, there's no stakes. There's nothing at stake here. It's just, November is a hard month, to be honest. And any month for some people, for many of us, it is difficult to find the time and dedication to do 50K. And I think a lot of us, from what I'm hearing from the community, a lot of us just aren't willing to suffer through, you know, pushing ourselves to a limit, because we've already been pushed to so many limits. We don't have the capacity right now to sustain like pushing ourselves beyond what feels mentally and emotionally and physically healthy. And I think that's great. Like, I think we should be sort of feeling when that barrier is coming up and then backing off and saying, okay, I need to rest, and it's okay to rest without guilt. But at the same time, you know, it's 3 more days. So it's a decision. Do you want to keep pushing for the goal? How far away are you? Do you want to set a new goal? Like if you're sitting here right now and you're at 17,000 words, maybe you say, okay, I'm not going to make the 50. I'm not even going to try for it, but I am going to try for 20K, and set yourself a new goal, set yourself a new reward, or pick one of the rewards that you didn't make it to later in the month and say, that's what I want to get. Like, I know I have a Kindle Scribe waiting for me in George's closet, and I want that Kindle Scribe. I want to be able to do edits for Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw on it. I want to test it out. I want to be able to annotate books. I'm excited for it. And I want it to be an early Christmas present, a Nano winner's present. So I have 6K words to do, which is about 2,000 words-ish a day before the end of Nano. And I know I can do it. So I'm definitely going to shoot for the 50K. So that's the first thing. Are you going to try for it? Are you going to set a new goal? And are you going to keep going? Second thing is, how are you going to reward yourself for this month? And I'm not just talking about for those of us that won or whatever, but for anybody who stuck with the NaNoWRIMO diaries and were watching it, anybody who was working on your book, editing your book, you deserve a reward. More rewards, the better. What's going to motivate you? Maybe you get yourself, you know, a nice coffee. Maybe you go out to a movie. Maybe you do something that doesn't have anything to do with cost, but it's just, I'm going to reward myself with a full day out on the back porch, reading a book. Just whatever it is, give yourself some kind of reward and pat on the back for all the things, not only that you've accomplished this month, but that you've accomplished throughout the year. I was talking about this the other day, but we so often don't really give ourselves credit for everything we've done in the year. And sometimes when we're in the moment and everything feels really exhausting and we're at our limits and we feel like we haven't, you know, lived up to expectations, the year hasn't gone as we wanted, it's so easy to fall into this thought of like, well, I'm a failure and I did nothing this year. So it's very helpful, like I said the other day, to just go back and reflect and write yourself a list of all the things that you did accomplish this year, from the tiniest things to the big things, and then reward yourself for that because you deserve it. And we're getting here towards this last month of the year that's about to start. Now, I am kind of adjusting my Nano plan a little bit. I'm going to get those 6K words, but you know, I'm sitting here too feeling disappointed because we all know very publicly I said I'm going to finish Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw by about the middle of the month, and then I'm going to spend the rest of the month working on A Mirror of Shadows. And I am so excited for that story, and I've gotten none of it done. I also was hoping to share with you and show you the actual process of how I'm plotting that serial, and I still want to show you that. It's just not going to be in a vlog like this. It'll have to be separate videos because I'm not going to make it. So I was sitting down last night in between, you know, while I'm working, I do have a standing desk, so I will go from standing to standing just so I'm moving around and not sitting still. George will walk by and say, your blood is pooling because I'm just sitting down for an hour and a half. So I will get up and walk around sometimes too. And I was thinking through, like, do I have anything else that I can use for this promotional project so I don't have to necessarily write something new? And because the Marco story is not going to get done either. By choosing not to work on it when I was in North Carolina, I chose not to do it. And that's just the honest truth of it. And I actually remembered that I have this story. So this is a cover that I probably wouldn't use now. This was done by Robin Ludwig, but I think these tribal tattoos have kind of been proven to not be the best thing to use on a lot of covers, just because it's disrespectful to people who actually are tribal and have tribal tattoos. And I don't have any clue as to the origin of this one. So I probably wouldn't use this cover art. To ask her to remove that and this and put something else in the background. But this is a story that I wrote, gosh, probably 2016. And I know a lot of people here don't read my books, but you should go check them out if you want to support me here. I would really appreciate it. My Shadow Demon Saga is my most read series. And I have a spinoff of that called Sacrifice Me that is more new adult. It does have some open door steamy scenes. And my young adult has no steam in it, no spice or whatever you say, but my new adult does have a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. And when I was working on Sacrifice Me, there is, at the end of season 1 of that serialized story, there is an event that these vampires take part in that sort of gets them in trouble or hot water with the organization that they belong to called the Brotherhood of Darkness. And so I have these characters. There were 12 vampires and they helped Rend commit this thing. I won't do spoilers, but they were working with him and they're all in trouble. And so I had this idea of doing a series called The Exiled, where each of the vampires in the Brotherhood that did this event were going to be approached by the leaders or the elder council of the Brotherhood of Darkness and asked to perform almost an impossible task. And if they couldn't perform it, that they would be killed or exiled. And so the first one to get approached is Silas. And this is, I don't even know that I have ever talked about this before. So, not spoilers, but just kind of interesting for people who read my books. I actually had this entire 12 book series plotted out, and it was going to be something where it was like, they were all going to be romances, and it was going to be the main vampire hero with a woman of different origins, maybe potentially like this first one is a vampire slayer, so kind of like a witchy Buffy, and there could be fae or werewolves or anything that would come through this series. And then you would have Rend and Frankie, who were the hero and heroine of Sacrifice Me, were also going to be point of view characters in this particular story. And throughout, so even though this is Silas and Patience's story, you would have Rend's point of view, potentially Frankie's point of view. And then also I was going to bring in the point of view of some of the other vampires so you could get to know them. So in a way, kind of like Black Dagger Brotherhood, although not as steamy as that and not quite as interconnected and like such a big world as J.R. Ward has created there. But it was an idea, but I felt like it was such a divergence of my brand from YA into really more adult fiction. And I wasn't sure at the time if I wanted to do that or not, especially because it was going to be a little bit steamier. And I just wasn't sure if I wanted to divert my brand over here or split my brand. I didn't know, but I was exploring it. And so I actually sat down and I wrote 35,000 words of this book, Silas. And I had totally forgotten about it, but I was going through in my Google Docs, Google Drive, I arrange my writing according to year and have all of my like rough drafts and everything. So I was going through previous years looking for like a short story or novella that I started, because I have lots of those. Let me know if you do too. Do you have books just hanging out on your hard drives and stuff under the bed, as they used to say? So I actually sat down and read a bit of this yesterday and thought, well, could I repurpose this for this promotional thing? But this is only probably half the book. And so I was trying to think, like, could I potentially just wrap it up more quickly? And I just decided I can't do it in 3 days. It's just not going to work. But then I started thinking this might make a really good thing to put into a Ream subscription, because it's already partly done. And I was actually like really enjoying this, to be honest. I was surprised. Like, it still needs a lot of work, but I really like this character, Silas, and you guys would love him. He's like got this huge library in his house. He's a real book nerd, but he's also a vampire. And he's like the son of one of the most evil vampires of all time. And So he's got that darkness in him, and then pair that with a vampire slayer witch who's really snarky and fun. And it's just kind of, I love it. I kind of want to keep working on it. And sometimes finding old stuff like that reignites my own passion for the writing itself, but that is not going to go into my NaNoWRIMO plan. Sorry, that was a total tangent, but then I started thinking about the Marco story. Don't think I can finish the 15,000 words as tired as I am and get all the planners done and everything else. So we're back to red. So this was my werewolf story, and that's what I'm going to work on. So long explanation, but sometimes we have to go through all the processes. And somebody asked me, how do you choose which project you're working on? And, you know, sometimes it's just, this is the next book in the series and that's what I'm going to work on. And sometimes it's a process of, does this really fit my brand? I really want to write it. Does it fit my brand? Is this something my fans will like? Is this something I would enjoy writing? And then sometimes it's like, this is the deadline. Can I logically, practically get it done in time to have it there? This project is due by the 30th. So I have basically 2 days, and it has to also be edited. So I have my proofreader is like waiting for it, and she's gonna do it kind of as fast as possible. So I still want to try to get it done. And since red was already edited and I just need to add 5 to 6,000 words to it, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to work on that today. I have the letter size planner, the A5 planners for Q1 are all done, and they are being proofread today. So I can work on the undated planner and the goals planner tomorrow. And today I can mostly spend my time working on red. So that's what I'm going to do, and you'll see that vlog. I'm going to head out probably to Panera, and I'm going to try to finish that. I'll just be adding the male point of view to that, and we'll see how big it gets. So that's my plan. Let me know if you're still going for Nano. And then also, like I said, the other thing that I've been thinking about a lot is, you know, this daydreaming of 2024 and what's my plans for my writing and how I'm going to decide which projects I'm working on. Because if you're like me, it's just because you enjoy the idea of it. Like I would love to do a membership. I would love to start a podcast. I'd love to write a nonfiction book about managing your time as a writer. There's so many things, like there's infinite possibilities of things that we could do. And they would be potentially all successful, potentially all exciting, fun, profitable. Like there's all these different things. And so how do we decide which goals we're going to actually pursue? And one thing that I found to be true for myself in terms of long-term planning versus short-term planning is that long-term, I like to get the eagle eye view of this is who I want to be in the world. This is what I eventually want to get to. This is my brand. This is my core value. These are the kind of people that I want in my community. This is the way I want to show up. Those kind of big things, even if they're not super, super specific. And then when I get specific, that's because I'm just working on the next 3 months. Now, when I approach the end of a year though, I do like to sort of project onto the year. Like, what are the big projects? What are the big things I'm trying to build here so that I can start it's sort of like if you were building a Lego. Look at this. Look at this super cute little Lego set from Five Below. It's like a little Hello Kitty house. It does come with a little Hello Kitty figurine. Evie and I have been putting these together. There's like multiple sets of these. But imagine that you just had a pile of those Legos sitting here. That's all the pieces that you might want to do. Like, do I want to start a subscription or write this book or do this thing? But you have to kind of like, if you really want to effectively build it with the time that you have as quickly as possible and as strategically as possible, it's helpful. I won't say you need to because not everybody does, but I will say for many of us, it is helpful to have a vision of what you want it to look like when it's finished, right? Like if you know I'm building this Hello Kitty house, now you know this quarter I'm going to build the bow and next quarter I'm going to build the foundation and the walls, you know? And so that's kind of what we do with our plans is we look at all the pieces of everything and then we say, okay, but what am I trying to build? What's the most important thing? And then we say, can I build that with these pieces? Do I need to get additional pieces? Which is also like looking at our schedule and saying, can I actually build that with the time and limitations that I have? And, you know, people say, dream big. And I agree with that. Dream big, like you are capable of anything. But when you start to implement that dream and you start to plan small. plan for less than what you think you can do. And I do that. You guys see me, I do that, believe it or not. And I still end up with too much on my plate. And that's me planning small. So can you imagine what my life was like when I was planning big? I was a mess. I couldn't get anything done. And so now I get about half of the things done that I intended, but at least all those things are leading me toward building a house or building something that is recognizable. And so as I start to think about like how busy I've been this year, what things have been put into place, what things I want to build next year, I have to look at all those pieces and say, what is it I'm trying to build? Can I build it with the time and constraints that I have here? And if not, then that, maybe if I have like 5 of these sets, I've got the Hello Kitty Cafe, the Hello Kitty house, the Hello Kitty pool, I've got like all of them. But maybe this quarter, I only have time to build the bow on this one. And in 2024, maybe I can only build this house, but I can build the other ones next year, right? But if I tried to build them all, the pieces would get messed up. It would be chaos. I would lose pieces. And then I would end the year with nothing that was fully built. I just kind of went off on this metaphor that I really hope is landing for some of you. But I think sometimes we end the year with a bunch of half-built things or even just small like pieces of things built. And because none of it actually led to something that is like tangible and holdable in your hand and like something that you can see the results and point to and say, I did that and be proud of, we feel like we did nothing. And so the cure for that is taking a look at all your pieces and saying, what is it I'm intentionally going to build? And being able to let go of any other projects and pieces and say, this is the thing. Or alternately, just being okay with the mess and the chaos of it and trusting that in 5 years, you're going to have some things finished. And I think it's really just a matter of how do you work best. So those are some things that are on my mind right now, is really thinking like, okay, reflecting on what I've built this year and over the last 5 to 10 years, and then moving forward into 2024 and thinking, what is it I really want to build next year? And I really, like, my mind wants to jump onto that playground and start playing. And I just can't yet because we're still in the thick of Nano, but it's coming soon. And I'm going to use that as my reward. So I've got 6K left to do. I will write it today, show you that vlog tomorrow. And then part of my reward, once we get to day 30, is going to be, obviously posting that short story novella for people to download and having that tangible result, decorating my house for Christmas, and then sitting down with all my planners and really starting to just indulge myself in the daydream of 2024 and what I want to build. And let me tell you, I really hope that you will be here with me for that journey in 2024. If you have not been subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. There's a lot of great things coming up, and I would love to have you as part of this community. If you have been subscribed and watching these throughout the month, throughout the years, thank you so much for being here. I just love you guys and I really appreciate it. So that is our little coffee chat, random chat for today. Let me know in the comments if you're still aiming for the 50K, if you've adjusted your goal, if you've given up, if you've rewarded yourself. Let me know all the things and I will see you down in the comments. All right, bye.